When Sea-Gull first reached out to me to see if I wanted to do a review of one of their watches, I was rather excited because they are an established brand just celebrating their 70th year anniversary, and they're kind of synonymous with the 1963 watch. That's where I think every watch enthusiast mind goes when they think about Sea-Gull as a brand, but they actually have a lot of watches on offer for their collection, and I wanted to choose something that is not going to be the first choice I think for reviewers to go for, and I wanted to see if they could have a fun watch with serious spec on offer for value. And I think it's rather exciting that the brand is interested in watch reviewers' thoughts and feedback from the community. We are now seeing bigger brands being more open-minded for watch enthusiasts and what they have to say about their watches on offer. So kudos for them for taking the time out to hear what we have to say. Sea-Gull is one of China's oldest modern watchmakers. Beyond entry-level calibers, Sea-Gull designs and manufactures complex in-house movements, including tourbillons, multi-axis tourbillons, and recently split second chronographs, moving up market technically as well as in volume. The company is highly vertically integrated. Sea-Gull makes many components in-house, hairsprings, escapements, which is why it can produce complicated movements at comparatively lower prices. Many independent brands, micro brands, have used Sea-Gull calibers, making Sea-Gull both a brand and a major movement supplier. The Sea-Gull story is a rare mix of historic military roots, large-scale industrial production, and horology experiments, which is why you'll see everything from affordable ST-powered chronographs to tourbillons under the Sea-Gull umbrella. I chose this rolling Panda diver because I was interested to take a look at what I would consider to be their entry-level tool watch with whimsical design infused with serious spec that's not commonly covered in the world of watch reviews. On my calibers, I get a diameter of 40 millimeters at the case, 40.8 millimeters at the bezel, lug to lug of 47.7 millimeters, a thickness of 13.3 millimeters, a lug width of a strap-friendly 20 millimeters. The crown is 6.4 millimeters. It has a water resistance of 20 bar, 200 meters, and it weighs in at 168 grams fully length. 78 grams of that is coming from the watch head alone. Powering the movement, we get an ST25 that's 21,600 vibrations per hour. It has 45 to 48 hours of power reserve. We get hacking, hand winding, and the lift angle was 51.5, and I was getting a read of plus 9 seconds per day. For the bracelet, we get an H-style friction pin securement, polished center links, brushed flanks. We get a push deployment for also polished buttons, a stamped clasp, 3 micro adjustments with a fold over security lock, fully brushed and engraved, diver extension folded into the clasp itself. 2 easy improvements that I would mention for the bracelet would be a quick release and an on-the-fly system instead of just the fixed extension for the diver that they had. But something not so obvious would be that the bracelet itself felt a little light in weight and it had a bit of a rattle, so I would probably try to fix the tolerances altogether between the links themselves to reduce that. Now the case back, on the other hand, is absolutely phenomenal. A nice rolling Panda is displayed, polished on particular features with a bead blasted background to highlight its engraving. The rest of the case back is polished, featuring surrounding text for spec information, and all of this rests on a screw down case back itself. No improvements here at all. In fact, I'm happy that they didn't opt to get an exhibition style caseback. The movement isn't highly decorated, and I prefer that it's a solid caseback if that is in fact the case itself. If we had an exhibition style caseback, that would only offer a possible additional points of seal failures and thickness to the overall dimensions. I'll trade that all day long for a nice solid engraved image, which is well executed here. As for the crown, we get screw down, coin edge knurling, extremely smooth to threading the crown into the crown tube itself. The keyless work function is a pleasure to fiddle with only 2 positions for winding and setting the time itself. It's easy to grip and unscrew even with the flush crown guards. It has a polished finish and it's signed with the company logo. The entire case is brushed, side profile horizontally, top of the lugs vertically, with only the space between and underneath the lugs having a polish. No chamfers or beveled edge polishing, giving the watch a strong toned down toolish tone. All of the finishing is done to a high standard, and I was pleasantly surprised to see this at the price point. As for the bezel, we get a 60 click, unidirectional, diver style bezel, black matte aluminum bezel insert, coined edge knurling with a polished finish, with bold, large index values for 5-minute intervals. A triangle-shaped pip engraved at the 12 position. It has a fantastic audible click feedback with no playback at all. and it's perfectly aligned. Now I have some improvements for the bezel. The grip on the bezel could be a little bit better. It's a touch too slippery, and I think this is due to the polished finish. Subjectively, I think adding lume into the markers of the bezel could have been a nice touch as well, but that's just my opinion. We get a flat sapphire crystal with 3 layers of AR coating. No issues at all with reflection of light when trying to read the time or read the dial for that matter. Speaking of the dial, the hour and minute hand are semi-skeletonized at the base, bold triangular ends. They are polished and filled with a black colorant lume pigment mixed into it. The second hand reaches out to the minute track and features a playful mini panda face that also has a touch of lume itself. Applied circular and triangle indexes border with a polished finish to match the hands. A rolling panda makes an appearance in replace of the 5 o'clock and also features some lume in it. The minute markers, Sea-Gull branding at the 12 o'clock, and spec text are all painted to the dial in black. Divers 200 meters on the watch indicates it meets ISO 6425 standards for a diver's watch. All of this rests on a matte white floor plan for a strong contrast and increased legibility. The dial is absent of a chapter ring, and finally, between the dial and the crystal of the watch, circular brushing is showcased. There's lume on the hands, indexes, and triangle pip engraved bezel insert, all of which is fairly weak to be honest, with the pip and the rolling panda showcasing the stronger application. This is due to the lume pigment being mixed with the black colorant. The added colorant absorbs the light, reducing the pigment's intensity and making it appear black. This significantly reduces the overall brightness and the glow performance compared to the uncolored lume. Now this is on theme for that panda kind of look, but I personally feel that a better approach would have been to offer an all lume dial with the hands and indexes remaining lumeless, which would contrast in a nocturnal setting. And at that point, utilizing BGW9 with 15 layers for a strong glow while still keeping that pure white look during the day. So here are my closing thoughts. The watch is fun, but yet a serious timepiece to spec. The design incorporates the panda, a powerful Chinese symbol of peace, harmony, and friendship. The inclusion of the panda motif pays homage to the Chinese culture and heritage, adding culture significance to the timepiece itself. And I, for one, am impressed that Sea-Gull has been taking the initiative to reach out to watch reviewers to get our feedback as a community. So I think it's very important for this one specifically, if you guys could look at all of the details, look at all of the offering, look at all of the comparisons, and let me know what you think about its value. It's important that we give bigger brands like Sea-Gull this feedback. This way, they have the opportunity to make the changes that us enthusiasts are really looking to get value out of the watches themselves. So leave a comment down below. I'm sure Sea-Gull is going to read them, and let's see what changes they come for the future. I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.